When a person decides to start a business, they kind of place a bet on their ability to make that bet pay off. They put up some money and they take their shot. Sometimes you win that bet and sometimes you lose. That's how the market makes their decisions. Republicans have always propagated that we are all responsible for the decisions that we make, and we do so with the full knowledge that there can be consequences. We can lose that bet and go down in flames. Right now, Spirit Airlines is failing. They're teetering on the brink of extinction, shutting the doors and going home, kind of like Trump Airlines did. So naturally, Trump decides he's going to help them stay in business by using your tax dollars to buy controlling interest in the company and, I guess, having Trump run it. He's a businessman. He, he knows how to run a successful business. Okay. This brought up a whole thing for me about Republicans and their talking points about personal responsibility, about pulling yourself up by the bootstraps. Let the market decide, they say. If a company can't succeed by making the right moves and avoiding the wrong ones, they're not fit to survive. They should step aside and let the people who can make a business profitable succeed where they had failed. Survival of the fittest, the natural order of things. But to Republicans, that let the market decide mantra, it's just window dressing. It actually means nothing to them. Hang with me, I'm going somewhere with this. It's like the Postal Service. The U.S. Postal Service was a perfect example of a hugely successful government program that cost the government nothing and provided fast and efficient service at a good price. The post office had always been self-sufficient. It covered all of its own expenses and didn't cost the taxpayers anything. It was a successful business. Then the Republican Party, under the Cheney-Bush regime, decided that the post office would be required to fund employee retirement health benefits for 75 years in the future. And they had to accomplish that within 10 years. They demanded that the post office have enough cash on hand right now to cover the retirement health benefits for future employees who had not even been born yet. No such burden had ever been placed on any entity of any kind, ever. They also crossed a plan that the post office had to begin providing basic banking services to the public because it would be competing with privately owned banks. The law was later repealed, but the damage to the post office had already been done. They didn't need that law anymore. The motivation for what the Republicans did to the post office was to eliminate the competition for private companies like DHL, FedEx, and UPS. When Donald Trump brought in Louis DeJoy to run the Postal Service, who actively slowed down the delivery of the mail and made it more expensive and less efficient. Today, a postage stamp costs twice what it cost 10 years ago. The cost to mail a simple letter doubled in 10 years. There are a number of ways DHL, FedEx, and UPS could address that disparity. They could work harder to find a way to provide the service more efficiently and for less money. That's how they say natural selection would work. That would be the natural order of things. That would be letting the market decide. But another way to address the disparity is to use that ingenuity and that creativity instead to destroy or cripple the competition to make it impossible for them to compete on a level playing field. That's not letting the market decide. That's market manipulation. Among the very reasons why the regulations Republicans hate so much are obviously necessary. Okay, back to Spirit Airlines. The evidence would suggest that Spirit made some bad decisions and failed to avoid some pitfalls that had to be visible before they got to the point of extinction, and now they're looking to escape responsibility for their failures. In walks Donald Trump, the absolute poster child for lack of responsibility, wanting to step in and clear away the consequences for the decisions Spirit Airlines made that brought them to the brink of death. This is the very same thing that happened in the 2008 financial industry meltdown. Investment banks were using the public's money to place bets on businesses to succeed. Many of them didn't. Wall Street lost some of those bets and had brought themselves to the same place that Spirit Airlines is right now. Rather than stand accountable for the decisions they made and let the market decide, they went into the White House and demanded to be bailed out. I remember it because of how they framed the request. They weren't coming to the government with their head in their hand begging for help. No. They came in with the attitude of a mob boss. Say, that's a nice economy you have there, Mr. Cheney. It would be a shame if something were to happen to it. Oh, and by the way, you wouldn't happen to have $1 trillion laying around, would you? There's this little bit of mess that we got ourselves into, and we need to clean it up. And as you know, $1 trillion of your tax dollars were handed over to them. What that did was set a precedent that once you get your business to a certain size and that business controls enough money, it will have the power to escape responsibility, to escape any accountability or any consequences for whatever decisions they might make. It also hands over too much control over the affairs of state because we taught these mega corporations that extortion works. Too big to fail is what Republicans want when they want to remove accountability from the equation by rolling back regulations that were put in place to prevent this very scenario from taking place. When you remove consequences from the picture, the natural result is abuse. Republicans say they want the government to get off their backs and stop interfering, shut down the welfare state, to let the market decide until it's one of them. With that, I'm GL Franklyn for The View from Out Here. Much love.